Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review. And this is a review of this past Tuesday's Smackdown. And this Smackdown was from the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island. And I gotta say, this Smackdown, I thought it was a solid show. Wasn't a great show by any means. It was better than Raw, but it was a solid show. So let's get started with the review. So SmackDown on Tuesday opened up with Shane McMahon. He was in his office. Elias ended up coming in. Elias ends up apologizing to Shane with what went down Sunday at Money in the Bank. Elias says he had Roman where he wanted him. He smashed him with the guitar, and he took all his energy into his performance, and that during his performance, the crowd was so unappreciative of him. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because the same boring old, oh, what does WWE stands for? Walk with Elias. Elias says the crowd said some words and called him names that affected him. And he goes on to say that he lost focus. And he got Superman punched. And he was thrown in the ring. And he feels like he let Shane down and that his entire family deserved better. And Elias says he's looking forward to Super Showdown, which he wants to be in Shane's corner when he faces Roman. Shane ends up telling Elias that he doesn't want anyone in his corner. He's going to take on Roman himself at Super Showdown. And so Shane says in Elias's rematch tonight from Money in the Bank, I'm like, oh my God, here we go. We have to watch Elias versus Roman again. So Shane says he would be in his corner during the match earlier tonight. So that was the whole open enough SmackDown. Then we had the New Day end up coming out. It was just Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Kofi says tonight is a very special night. Xavier then introduces the return of Big E. Big E has been out for 6 long weeks. He had an injury. And so they bring out a mystery guy that's underneath a blanket. They end up revealing that person. And the person is not Big E. And we see Kofi goes, oh, who are you? And Xavier says to the guy, you look like if, E just got left in the dryer, which I laughed at. And Kofi says to this guy, why are your knees so ashy? And the guy had, ashy knees. So, and they tell, the fake Big E to leave. He's like, oh, and take this blanket with you. And they then introduce the real Big E. So Big E ended up coming out. All 3 of them were in the ring. There were presents in the ring and had a banner that said, welcome back, Big E. It was a big welcoming back for Big E after his injury. Then we have Big E going to Xavier and saying, oh, let me smell you. And Big E ends up saying, Xavier smells good. And he asks Kofi if he could smell his underarms. And Big E was like, "Oh, how he missed his boys and also the WWE universe." So Kofi ends up saying that Sunday at Money in the Bank, Brock Lesnar became Mr. Money in the Bank, which got a lot of boos from the crowd. Xavier ends up saying, more importantly, Kofi defeated Kevin Owens to retain the WWE Championship. And Xavier tells Kofi that Kofi KO'd KO, Kevin Owens. So Kofi says tonight it's all about Big E. And the celebration gets interrupted by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens made his way out. And also Sami Zayn came out. Sami was on the mic. Kevin Owens didn't say anything here. He was just silent. So Sami ends up saying to Kevin, the both of them can't believe this nonsense. And he says, Big E gets a big. Sami said Big E gets a big return, and that Sami was out for over 9 months, and he didn't get anything when he came back. And so Big E ends up saying, we should get something for Sami. He says to Kofi and Xavier, we should get something for Sami. And they are going to get Sami the very same thing Kevin Owens got at Money in the Bank on Sunday. And they both sing, nothing, 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 nothing. And so Kevin Owens gives Sami his mic, walks away ashamed, and Sami ends up saying the reason Kevin Owens didn't beat Kofi at Money in the Bank is because he was distracted, because he was beat down and hung upside down, talking about Sami. And he missed, and Sami goes on to say that he missed his chance to be Money in the Bank. And Sami ends up calling this whole celebration disgusting. What was really funny was as Sami Zayn was talking, Xavier ended up cutting him off for blowing the trombone. And Sami ends up telling the New Day to have their fun, because their night isn't going to end in fun after he beats Kofi in front of his friends. And he ends up calling the Rhode Island people trash. And he goes on to say when he's done, he'll be lucky to be walking out of here at all. And so Kofi ends up telling Sami not to let the smiles and hip swivels fool him. He goes on to say, when it's time to throw down, they throw down. And not only is he walking out on his own 2 feet, he's walking right through them. He's walking right through him. And that evolves into a New Day Rocks chant. So, but it was a pretty decent segment with the New Day. Glad that Big E is back. Then we saw Carmella. She was backstage. She was looking for R-Truth. And still, with the stupid 24/7 championship. And, you have all these jobbers, still looking for R-Truth backstage. And I want to give the 24/7 championship a nickname. To me, the 24/7 championship will be, I would either call it the jobber title or the Ninja Turtles belt, because it's so green. So, but they all want the guys. Drake Maverick was saying, "Oh, have you seen R-Truth?" He's handing out flyers saying, missing R-Truth. So she ends up walking. Carmella ends up walking. And she finds R-Truth wearing a disguise. He was in a blonde wig. And she ends up telling Truth that his idea of disguise isn't working. So Truth said it's been a hard 24 hours. Well, 7 more to go, and it's his for good. So that was basically the whole backstage segment with Carmella and R-Truth. But it was funny. It was funny seeing R-Truth in the blonde wig. And then we had Mustafa Ali versus Andrade Cien Almas. This was a very good match. Both of these guys went at it with each other. It was back and forth. They had pretty good chemistry here in this match. The wrestling for this match was very entertaining. Mustafa Ali ended up getting the win. Ended up rolling up Andrade to score the win. All in all, it was a very good, entertaining match. I mean, both of these guys went at it, and like I said, they played off the match really well. Then we saw Carmella. She was hairspraying R-Truth's blonde wig, and he says something's missing. He says to Carmella, something's missing. Carmella ends up going, "You're right, something is missing." And then Carmella ends up handing R-Truth a bra, which is funny. And R-Truth ends up telling Carmella that he needs help because he always had trouble getting it open. It was funny, though. It was funny. Then we had Carmella versus Mandy Rose. This match ended in a no contest because you get the jobbers. R-Truth was out there. You had the jobbers like the B Team, and every one of them come out. You had Brian Kendrick. And then, I hear like when they came out, like the Benny Hill theme play. It's like every time when the 24/7 championship is featured and these jobbers come out, you just hear the Benny Hill theme in your head. Or someone posted on social media that every week on Raw, when the 24/7 championship is going to be featured, it's going to be Scooby-Doo when they're running and everything. But that's what happened, and that's what happened. The match ended in a no contest because it came out they were chasing Truth for the 24/7 championship. Truth and Carmella were running through the crowd, and they started chasing them. And wait, hold on, man. I'm gonna put on my lamp here because it's gonna start to rain and heard some thunder outside. So yeah, but that was basically what happened. During that match. And so, hey, you can hear the thunder outside if you heard that. So then we had Kayla Braxton. She was interviewing Bayley. Bayley ends up saying she's exceeded everyone's expectations, but they still doubt her. And she's like, that's why she created her own opportunity at Money in the Bank. She says the people need to know that she's moved past the hugs, and she wants everyone in the locker room to bring their best. So it was a more confident, very different side of Bayley here. And I really like that. And then we see R-Truth and Carmella. They were still running away backstage. What was really funny was they tried to cut through the women's locker room, but they were yet like you heard like a scream in the women's locker room, and they got chased back out. And you see the superstars, they're just chasing them off. Like you see the B team. You saw Matt Hardy in there, which I don't know why. You know, Matt Hardy's not a jobber. And you see Brian Kendrick. Drake Maverick was still behind. And you see Sami Zayn looking there like what the fuck? What, like, his facial expression was like, what the fuck is this? And you see him laughing, and he goes out for his match against Kofi. And when Sami Zayn came out, he made his entrance. We went to backstage, and we see Big E. Big E was backstage. Somebody attacked him. It was possibly Kevin Owens. He was clutching at his knee. Referees were trying to check on him. Xavier Woods ends up telling Kofi to go take care of his business and beat Sami Zayn. So Kofi ended up going out there. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Big E was backstage and he was yelling because somebody attacked him. It's possibly Kevin Owens. Attacked his knee. So Xavier Woods ends up telling Kofi to go take care of his business and beat Sami. And so then we had the match, Kofi Kingston versus Sami Zayn, which was a decent match. It wasn't a bad match. It was back and forth between them. Kofi ended up doing decent here. The crowd was behind him. Kofi ended up beating Sami Zayn with the Trouble in Paradise. So Kofi ends up winning the match. Then after the match, we saw Paul Heyman. He came out. And of course, Brock wasn't going to be there. So Kofi ended up thinking that Brock was there on Tuesday. And, Kofi thinks, that he was there, but he had his back turned. He was looking at Paul Heyman. Heyman was saying something to Kofi from the stage. And then we see Kofi then gets attacked from behind by Dolph Ziggler. Yes, Dolph Ziggler ended up returning to SmackDown on Tuesday. So Dolph ends up punching Kofi. He was punching to Kofi's head, tearing at his face, slamming Kofi into the mat. And he dragged Kofi out into the corner, started shoving him into the ring post. Then went outside. He threw Kofi into the announce desk. Dolph ended up dragging Kofi and hits him with a chair from the timekeeper's area. And he rammed also Kofi into the announce desk chair. And so pretty much that was basically what happened. And the medics ended up checking on Kofi. Dolph ended up coming back and he started wrapping the chair around Kofi. He was palmanizing on Kofi. He hit him with the stomp. So now that was what happened. EMTs came down. They had a board, and they put Kofi on it so he could be stretched out. They get him up. They wheel him up the ramp, and Kofi ends up, trying to want to get up as they get onto the stage. So we see Kofi ends up sitting up, and he gets on his own feet and walk out. He has title, so he ended up walking out. He didn't feel the need to be stretched, to be taken out, stretched out. So basically that was what happened. I'm like, Dolph is back. You could tell he's back just for a paycheck. So, but there is a reason why that Dolph is back, though. I mean, he could just be getting a paycheck, for that. And also, there's another reason why. It has to do with the Saudi Arabia thing. I heard Kevin Owens uh, doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. And so, I guess that's why they're having possibly Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia. It's possibly going to be happening. Then we saw Roman Reigns. He was backstage, and he hears guitar strumming. And the camera points up, and we see Elias is standing on the production truck. He's playing the guitar. He begins singing. He sings his song about running Roman down, for Roman being jealous of his soul, of Elias' soul and Elias' heart. So basically it was just that. I mean, like, did I give a shit? No. Then we had Becky Lynch. She was being interviewed by Kayla Braxton. Becky says she doesn't feel right without the SmackDown Women's Championship. But if somebody had to get it, she's glad that Bayley has the championship on her now. And so Bayley ends up coming up and says she enjoys the thought of Bayley 2 belts. And Becky says if she tries, she'll drop her. And that Becky is coming for Bayley next. And Bayley ends up replying to Becky and saying she wouldn't have it any other way. And then they both were tag teaming in a match. It was Bayley and Becky Lynch. They ended up taking on Charlotte and Lacey Evans. Women's tag team match. Typical women's tag team match. I like Bayley and Becky as a tag team. Thought that was pretty cool. And Charlotte and Lacey, for what they did to Becky, WWE might as well just make them a tag team. But Bayley and Becky ended up getting the win. That was that, but your typical women's tag team match. Then we saw Carmella and R-Truth. They were still running backstage. And out of every one of the jobbers, Jinder Mahal gets a roll-up on R-Truth. R-Truth ends up kicking out of it. R-Truth nails Jinder with a forearm. And both him and Carmella, they kept running. They ran into the loading dock. And the B team, Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, they end up blindsiding R-Truth. And they go for the count, but Curtis Axel ends up pulling Bo Dallas off. And they bicker about who is going to get the win. Sorry about that again, but as I was saying, Curtis Axel ended up pulling Bo Dallas off of R-Truth. They bicker about, who is going to get the win. And R-Truth then gets up, beats them both off, and runs away. I mean, this whole 24/7 championship thing, it's, like I said, it's stupid. It's fucking shit. All you hear in your head is the Benny Hill music whenever they come running for R-Truth. That's all you would hear. Yeah. Jobber belt. Ninja Turtle belt. Then we had Sarah Schreiber. She was interviewing Dolph Ziggler backstage on why he attacked Kofi. Dolph ends up saying an honest question deserves an honest answer. But he's not telling her why he beat up Kofi. He's telling all of us in the ring. So Dolph ends up making his way down. He makes his entrance. Crowd boos him. And he says he knows. He says if he was in the crowd right now, he'd boo him too. And he says this goes way back to Mustafa Ali getting hurt. And he says Kofi stepped up and got the opportunity and knocked it out of the park. But it should have been him. And he says Kofi jumped through hoop after hoop after hoop, and after 11 years of earning everything, he became an overnight success. And Dolph says that it should have been him. And so he talks about Kofi's career path over the last few months, reiterating every time that he thinks that Kofi deserves that arc. And he talks about Kofi winning the title at WrestleMania. He says every day since becoming champ, Kofi's outperformed every critic and has been a fighting champion. And that we all respect and admire him. And Ziggler says, that should be him. So Dolph says he has a title shot at Super Showdown, and he's going to win the title. And each of us is going to end up loving and respecting him as WWE champion. So there you go. There's the match. Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston, Super Showdown. It's happening. So that's why Dolph is back. Kevin Owens, from what I heard, doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia, so they got Dolph Ziggler to do it. And then we had the main event, Roman Reigns versus Elias. Before the match got underway, Shane McMahon ended up coming out. He ended up giving Elias a introduction. Whoop-de-doo. So Roman Reigns versus Elias. Do I really need to say who won this match? Do I? If you said Roman, yeah, I hear you all saying Roman. Did Roman win the match? Well, no shit, he won the match. Roman ended up beating Elias with the spear. There you go. After the match, Shane ended up coming in, started punching Roman. He ends up taking Elias's guitar as he's about to hit Roman with it. And there are points in the match where Shane was trying to get into the match. He's trying to distract Roman. There was a point in the match where Roman went for the pin count, but Shane ended up putting Elias's foot on the bottom rope. There was a turnbuckle that got loose. But so Shane ends up taking Elias's guitar as he's about to hit Roman with it, and Shane was in the ring. Roman ended up hitting the Superman punch to Shane as Shane was about to hit Roman with the guitar. And then we see, out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre came out. He ended up hitting the Claymore kick to Roman. And that's how SmackDown ended. But all in all, Roman Reigns versus Elias. It was a rematch from Money in the Bank. Did I give a shit? No. So anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you all enjoyed this video. And thank you all for watching. Definitely give this video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. Follow me on the Stardust app at MikeyBoy101591. And until next video, I'll see you all later.